Before we get into the Fusion XYZ Festival, I just want to do a quick survey almost for some feedback. I just want to know, for those of you that have been with me for a while, watched my previous videos on festivals and stuff, have those decks and or videos helped you? And if you could leave in the comment section like what decks you've used that I've recommended before, which ones did you craft, how successful did you find it, and for what events. And the reason is because for those of you that are new as well, you can see here, we don't play that many festival duels, but when we do play them, we finish them relatively efficiently and quickly, and we do so with a decent win rate. This is a 70% win rate more or less. And the decks that I recommend for you in my videos are a combination of what's a budget option as well as what can hopefully deal with what's going to be the top deck and or the meta of that event. And so because of that, again, you're not crafting the most expensive best deck, but even if you did, you can't expect to win every match. But we try our best to kind of find that balance for you. But yeah, let me know what you think and or have used in the past. But let's go ahead and get into today's video. So with the amount of decks that like to go second in this format, Dark Magician is actually a deck that wouldn't mind going first. You can do a decent setup. The only problem is this deck does need its back row, and so if you're in a format where there's a lot of back row removal, it can be really tough to deal with. So in this match, you can see that the opponent activates Max C, and the nice thing too about Dark Magician is you don't really need to worry about Max C because you barely special summon, or you can avoid special summoning. You special summon maybe once or twice a turn, if that even, and you can see here this opponent wasted their Max C because all they ended up doing was using Magician's Rod. Now when they reveal it there on the Photon deck, this was obviously Galaxy Eyes, which is a good deck for the event. I know that they extend off of their Photon being on the field and then special summoning with that, right? So I just opt to use the Eternal Soul right away, special the DM from my hand, and then use the circle to banish that monster. Sure enough, that ends their turn because they have no cards to activate without a Photon or a Galaxy card on field. We draw the Kaiju, and then we're going to once again do Illusion of Chaos for another Magician's Rod, putting back the circle that we got off of the first circle. Now, the important thing to note here, and where the Dark Magician deck does suffer a little bit, is you don't have the link monsters to easily get these Magician's Rod off the field so that you can recycle them back, right? So you can see me having to search for a second Rod, and that's kind of the only thing that's wrong with the Dark Magician deck in this format. But we do search out the Secrets of Dark Magic with the second Rod that we're able to search off Illusion of Chaos. And this is why Dark Magician is decent, because it has some consistency. You can technically unbrick, you play a lot of searchers, etc. Yes, you might lose to an Ash or something. That's the only downside, because if you have a bricked hand and you need to resolve your searchers and you get ashed, you might have to pass. But you can see here, no deck is flawless, right? I mean, we banish the opponent's orbital and they couldn't play either. So we're going to go battle phase, attack with everything, then use the fusion spell to go into the Dark Magicians and attack for game in the battle phase. And you can see just how effective Dark Magicians can be. It does have the potential to OTK, to board break with the super polys. As long as you don't get your back row constantly wiped out by like lightning storms and stuff like that, you should be good to do fairly well in this event with this deck. So one of the decks you can definitely be using as an ultimate budget option in the Fusion XYZ Festival is actually Dark Magician. This deck is unhit basically, and with the power level of the format being greatly reduced, you don't have a lot of the big hitters, the deck does perform decently well. You normally don't need to go into the extra deck, but you are able to run Super Poly and deal with some meta threats like Cyber Dragons, any dark decks and fusion decks that you'll run into like Branded, and then on occasion, yes, you can get into your own fusion monsters by searching out the Secrets of Dark Magic, and if you want to run an Eye of Timaeus or two, you can also do that. But I've gone 2-0 with this deck so far and have not really needed to go into the extra deck. I did OTK somebody, I guess, with the Secrets of Dark Magic in the battle phase, which we'll review in just a second. But the Dark Magician list is pretty straightforward. Only 2 Dark Magician this time. Historically, I've run 3, but this time around, since you have Ash and Maxi in the format, you can afford to run 2. 3 Magician Souls, 3 Maxi, 3 Magician's Rod, 3 Ash Blossom, 1 Dark Magician Girl. Tech choice is the 3 Kaiju Raiden, the multi-dimensional Kaiju, 1 Timaeus, which I never ran before, but it does have some utility since you can use the fusion spell to go into Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, with this being the dragon, since you don't have access to link monsters like the level 1 Imduck, which is a dragon that you can use. So because you don't have that, you want to run another dragon, and Timaeus is an option. Only 2 Illusion of Chaos, but 3 Preparation of Rites. Instead of Feather Duster, you can run Dark Magic Attack, so again, saving crafting points if you don't have a Duster, but you really should since it is pretty much a staple ultra rare. We're opting to just run 1 Eye of Timaeus, 1 Magician Salvation, 2 Dark Magical Circle, 2 Super Polymerization, 3 Soul Servant, 1 Secrets of Dark Magic, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and 2 Eternal Soul. I like running 2 because 1 always gets outed, and so I like to have a backup as as a backup basically. And then the extra deck, Mud Dragon of the Swamp. These are basically super poly targets. The Chimera attack, which is Cyber Dragon plus machines. You can super poly away an entire Cyber Dragon board with that. 1 Starving Venom, 1 Pride of Plant Dragostapelia, 3 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. You don't need 3, you can get away with like 2 or 1 even. 3 the Dark Magicians, 1 Master of Chaos, 1 Granugol in case you do face up against Branded. Being able to super poly away the Cartasia on field is really nice, and then you can always dump a Dark Magician off this, I believe, because it's level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck, right? 1 Quintet Magician probably will never come up, but it's just in there as a filler since it comes in the structure deck. 1 Big Eye as a level 7 and Dark Arm as a level 7 Xyz. So pretty straightforward deck. Let's go ahead and take a look at a match or two where we use this to success. So I just wanted to showcase my second match where we lost the coin toss and our opening hand isn't the greatest, but in this event, I guess other people can brick too. This opponent who won the coin toss opted to go first, just passes on nothing, which is interesting. We draw Magician's Rod, which is really good, so we're going to go ahead and activate that and grab Circle. This is traditionally what you want to do, is get your Circle in rotation as fast as possible. And then we go ahead and we use the... Okay, there's a lot happening there. So then when we activate Circle, or we use the Magician's Soul to bring out Dark Magician, then we use Circle and we chain the Soul Servant so that we can stack the deck with the Magician's Salvation, which we're going to be able to take, obviously, when we activate Circle and it resolves. This is on top, which is a card we can take off Circle. During the battle phase, we're going to use the Fusion spell once again to get rid of the Dark Magician Girl in our hand and the Magician's Rod on the field to go into the Dark Magicians. And then we're going to attack directly, and then we're going to go main phase 2, activate the Magician's Salvation, which sets the Eternal Soul and will allow us to draw 1 off of the Dark Magicians. We draw into a Kaiju. Then we're going to banish the Soul Servant, and because we have Dark Magician Girl in our graveyard and Dark Magician on field, we're going to be able to draw 2. We draw the second Eternal Soul, and we set the Imperm that we draw as well. So you can see why Lightning Storm and Dusters really hurt you, but if you can get out the Dark Magician and the Dragon Knight, it will protect your back row. So that's why we run the Timaeus, is because we absolutely want access to a dragon, which is searchable via the Illusion of Chaos if you need to get it. So keep that in mind. The opponent starts off with Mirror of the Ice Barrier, which is crazy. And then they're going to chain double Call by the Grave. I think they're just showing me what they got because they know that, yeah, they can't do anything. So we're going to draw again off of the Dark Magicians, and they just scoop because, yeah, I think they were just showing me that they bricked up there. So Dark Magicians, you know, with a decent board, you can control matches and win games in this event fairly quickly. Another deck that is actually still viable for the event despite no boss monster or towers monster in Purrely Noir is the Purrely deck. And the reason this deck is actually good is because you still play a lot of hand traps, so you are 100% viable going second. You can nuke opponent's board with things like Nibiru. You can use Tactics Talent if you get interrupted when you go first or when you try to go second and play. And you can play some hand traps, obviously, that you'll be able to use going second, like Imperms and Ashes and Maxis and Veilers. So the deck list is pretty straightforward. Double Veiler, you can play 3 if you want, 3 Purrely, 3 Purrely, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Nibiru. I wouldn't really go 3, but I guess if you really wanted to, you could. Double triple Tactics Talent, 3 Purrely Street, and 3 My Friend Purrely, 3 Happy Memory, 3 Delicious Memory, 3 Pretty Memory, and 3 Sleepy Memory, and then triple Imperm and 1 Yeep. I would say that you probably want more Yeep, maybe, just because you want to see it maybe more often, so maybe play 2. You might be able to hit it off of the Purrely, because for sure the Purrely is priority getting the My Friend Purrely and then the field spell. But if you open both of these, you can definitely search Trap Card. So pretty straightforward Purrely list more or less, and the extra deck is Slacker Magician, Sylvan Princess Sprite, 1 Ensemble Robin, which I think you absolutely should be playing. If you don't have it, you would want to craft it. If you have the rest of the Purrely deck and you don't have this, you definitely want to craft it. It's good in regular ranked mode as well. 3 Happiness, 3 Beauty, 2 Plump, 1 Downer, double Purrely Happiness, and 1 Zeus. So you might be thinking, what the heck is this? Like, you're playing double Purrely Happiness? Yeah, this is your OTK option now. You disrupt your opponent's board long enough, and then you go into Happiness, and hopefully you just OTK them going second or going third. After you go first, they go, and then you can hopefully not get OTK'd and protect yourself, and then have them go. So there is some additional like utility that you can use. You know, you can like set a Sleepy Memory instead of activating it if you don't need the draws, but you'd rather just be able to survive damage. But your standard turn 1 play will likely be going into Beauty so that you have a quick effect monster negate, and then you supplement that with, you know, the draw power off of the sleepies attached to it, and you have like hand traps to deal with the rest of the opponent's board, hopefully to slow them down, and then you just OTK with happiness after that. And then of course you always have the Zeus line, which is why Purrely is so good, because it can be Turbo Zeus as well. And turn 1, if you get like multiple of the level 1s out, you go into Ensemble Blue. This card is insane, bouncing special summon monsters back into the hand and or extra deck, right? So this deck is still very resilient. Let's go ahead and take a look at how a match went in the event. So in this video, I think we also end up going first. Yes, we do. And our opening hand isn't the greatest because we actually have no quick play Purrely spell. So we're going to be really limited in what we can do. But we're going to go ahead and activate Field Spell, activate My Friend, and reveal the Pretty Memory this time. Not Delicious like you normally would, because we don't necessarily need Plump. We actually need Beauty. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out the Purrely, and we're going to be able to grab Happy Memory off that. That's decent. Use Purrely effect to upgrade into Beauty here, and then attach the Delicious, sorry, not Delicious, the Pretty Memory. And then end phase, after setting 2 cards, we're going to attach the Draw 1 Sleepy Memory. And, you know, not necessarily the greatest, but it's going to allow us to at least set up hopefully something for next turn. The opponent starts off with the Photon cards, and then they play this crazy like XYZ stealing card off of their Photons being on field. They are under max C though, so we are drawing, but the X Purrely Happiness doesn't have any attack boosts because it does not have a Delicious. So against Galaxy Eyes, they're definitely going to be able to OTK us unless we have something to stop them. So they're going to go into Cypher Dragon. We're you know, again under max C, going to be able to draw a Talents there. And then the opponent uses the effect to take, but they can't target the Happiness because of the Street. Because Happiness was special summoned during their turn, they can't target it, right? So they do take the Purrely, but it gets 3000 attack and it has its name changed to Cypher Dragon, which means they are going to be able to XYZ summon with it. We opt to negate the Galaxy Eyes full armor of removing this card from the field in the Street, which is going to force them to find another form of removal for the field spell, because I think they know that they're going to try to OTK and they just need to prevent me from special summoning to the field. So they go battle phase, and I don't even think they're able to OTK here, but we use My Friend Purrely and bring back 2 of the spells off of the Beauty, and they just go main phase 2, because yeah, they activated Cypher Dragon, so they can only attack with like 1 monster or something. But we were still protected even if they had an OTK, because we had the Purrely Happy Memory set, which we could quick play spell activate and bring a Purrely to the field in defense mode to guard. Main phase 2, they're going to attempt to play here, but look how many cards we have in our hand. We're definitely winning next turn. The opponent is attempting to do something here, so yeah, again, props to them for trying something, but they must know under max C there's like almost nothing they can do here. So yeah, we draw all 3 Sleepies, we draw a lot of Purrely quick plays. They eventually go into Zeus, which again is very smart, because whatever we end up trying to set up, they can just Zeus at any point. But we do have double Talents in hand, so as soon as I activate Field Spell in main phase 1, they do activate one of their XYZ monsters, and I'm like, okay, that's game, because I Talent non-target take, and the opponent realizes that it's over, because that level 4 or rank 4 XYZs that they summon makes it so I can't target their monsters that have higher attack than it. But Triple Tactics doesn't target, it just takes. So because of that, the opponent ended up realizing that, yeah, it's over, and they just end up scooping it up.